You speak a little loud. Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to release 109 high-yielding, climate-resilient and bio-fortified varieties of crops in New Delhi. Polls show Democratic candidate Kamala Harris takes lead over Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump in the 3 key states in U.S. presidential election race. And in sports, the Indian contingent finishes their Paris Olympic 2024 campaign with 5 bronze and 1 silver medal to their names. Legendary Indian shooter Abhinav Bindra receives the prestigious Olympic order. As part of the government's plan to revitalize agriculture and boost food security, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will release 109 high-yielding, climate-resilient and bio-fortified varieties of crops in New Delhi. Prime Minister Modi will release 109 varieties of 61 crops, which include 34 field crops and 27 horticultural crops. Among the field crops, seeds of various cereals, including millets, forage crops, oilseeds, pulses, sugarcane, cotton, fiber and other potential crops will be released. Among the horticultural crops, different varieties of fruits, vegetables, plantation crops, tuber crops, spices, flowers and medicinal crops will be released. Prime Minister will also interact with farmers and scientists on the occasion. Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Wayanad today, in fact yesterday, and conducted aerial survey of the landslide hit areas. Prime Minister also physically visited those sites ravaged by the natural disaster and met the survivors in hospital and relief camp. Later, he reviewed the ongoing relief and rehabilitation operations and assured the survivors all help from the government in overcoming the challenges of life caused by this disaster.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi conducting aerial survey of the landslide ravaged Punjarivattam, Mundakai and Attamala areas in Wayanad, Kerala on an Indian Air Force chopper. After aerial survey, he visited the landslide hit areas in Wayanad. Prime Minister reached Churalmala, one of the areas badly hit by the massive landslide. The Prime Minister interacted with the army personnel and those involved in the relief and rescue operations. Later, Prime Minister visited the relief camp and interacted with the survivors. The Prime Minister spent almost 25 minutes in the camp where he comforted the disaster victims after hearing them patiently. Prime Minister also visited a private hospital in Mepari where he met 4 people who were rescued from the disaster site and are currently under treatment. Later, Prime Minister held a review meeting where Kerala's Chief Secretary presented the status of the rescue operations and the extent of damages in the disaster. PM in a statement said that all sections of society, from common man to agencies involved in rescue and relief operations, did their best to help the people stranded in the natural disaster.
SDRF के लोग हो, NDRF के लोग हो, सेना के लोग हो, पुलिस के जवान हो, स्थानीय मेडिकल के लोग हो या यहाँ के NGOs हो, सेवाभावी संस्थाएं हो, हर कोई बिना रुके तुरंत ही आपदा प्रभावित लोगों की मदद के लिए पहुंचने का प्रयास किया। जिन परिजनों ने अपने स्वजन खोए हैं, उसकी पूर्ति करना तो हम मनुष्य के लिए संभव नहीं है, लेकिन उनका भावी जीवन उनके सपने चूर-चूर न हो जाए, ये हम सबका सामूहिक दायित्व है।
PM assured the survivors that government will make all efforts to help them overcome the challenges caused by this disaster.
इस दुख की घड़ी में चाहे राज्य सरकार हो, केंद्र सरकार हो या देश के जन-जन नागरिक हो, हम सब उस संकट की घड़ी में उनके साथ हैं। सरकार ने जो नीति नियमों के तहत जो आपदा प्रबंधन के लिए राशि भेजते हैं उसका काफी हिस्सा पहले ही दिया हुआ है और भी हिस्सा हमने तुरंत रिलीज किया है और जैसे ही मेमोरेंडम आएगा तो बहुत ही उदारता पूर्वक इन सारी समस्याओं के समाधान के लिए केरल सरकार के साथ भारत सरकार खड़ी रहेगी.
The healing touch and patient hearing that Prime Minister gave to the survivors would continue to work as a soothing balm on their wounds for long. Bureau Report, DD India.
India will open its embassy in Timor-Leste. President of India, Draupadi Murmu, announced during her address in Timor-Leste on Saturday that India will soon open an embassy in the country as part of the growing relationship between the two nations. President Murmu said that this new embassy will facilitate consular services for Indians living in Timor-Leste and also enhance communication between the two governments. The President emphasized upon enhancing India and Timor-Leste ties and giving the Delhi-Dili connection a boost. She also added that India remains committed to partnering with Timor-Leste in its journey towards progress and development. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said that India-Maldives development cooperation embodies the motto of partnership imagined by Maldives, delivered by India. He also made these remarks at the inauguration of water and sanitation project in Maldives. Dr. S. Jaishankar also called on President of Maldives and met his counterpart in Maldives.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on Saturday said that bedrock of partnership is the mutual benefit of peoples of both countries. Jaishankar's remark came at a program for the virtual inauguration and handing over of the water and sanitation projects in 28 islands. The projects were commissioned under the Indian line of credit.
India-Maldives development cooperation embodies the motto of our partnership, imagined by Maldives, delivered by India. It will be our endeavor to harness this defining feature of our relationship and scale greater heights. And I hope, Excellency President, with your guidance and encouragement, our joint efforts, our joint activities, and our shared vision will form an important milestone in the journey of our two nations together.
Earlier, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar called on Maldives President Dr. Mohammad Moizu and conveyed greetings of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Jaishankar said that New Delhi was committed to deepen India-Maldives ties for the benefit of the people in the two countries and the region. Dr. S. Jaishankar also met his Maldivian counterpart Muza Zamir to discuss all areas of bilateral cooperation to deepen the partnership between India and Maldives. Both leaders witnessed signing of MOU between National Payments Corporation of India and Ministry of Economic Development and Trade of Maldives on introduction of digital payment system in the Maldives. The minister also highlighted India's neighborhood first policy and said that Maldives is one of the cornerstones of our policy.
Maldives is one of the cornerstones of our neighborhood first policy. It is also one of our vision saga, as well as of our commitment to the global south. For India, neighborhood is a priority, and in the neighborhood, Maldives is a priority. We also share the closest of bonds of history and kinship.
Jaishankar also met with Defence Minister of Maldives, Mohammad Hassan Mamoon. Leaders held discussion on defence and security cooperation, joint initiatives for maritime security and shared interest in maintaining peace and stability in the region. Dr. Jaishankar also jointly planted a sapling along with Foreign Minister Muza Zamir and Climate Change, Environment and Energy Minister. Bureau Report, DD India.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar also met with Maldivian Democratic Party President Abdullah Shahid during his visit to Male on Saturday. Dr. S. Jaishankar in a social media post said, and I quote him, "Pleased to meet Abdullah Shahid, President of Maldivian Democratic Party, and colleagues. Value their support for strengthening of India-Maldives relations. The Maldivian Democratic Party chief has expressed confidence that India will always be the first to assist the Maldives in times of need." Indian Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri is scheduled to embark on an official visit to Nepal on Sunday. India's Foreign Secretary will be on a two-day visit to Nepal at the invitation of Foreign Secretary of Nepal, Seva Lamzal. The two foreign secretaries will discuss various matters on further strengthening Nepal-India relations and advancing mutually beneficial cooperation. India and Nepal share an age-old civilizational, cultural and people-to-people connect. This visit of the Foreign Secretary will be an opportunity to further advance the bilateral ties between the two nations. India on Saturday opened its resident mission in Albania as part of efforts to expand the footprint in the Balkan Peninsula. India's Ministry of External Affairs in a statement said that operationalization of the Indian mission in Albania will help in expanding India's diplomatic footprint. It will also deepen political relations between India and Albania and would assist in the growth of bilateral trade, promote investment and economic engagements and cooperation on multilateral issues. The statement further reads that the Indian mission in Tirana will facilitate people-to-people contact and also assist the Indian community in Albania. You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris pushes for Gaza ceasefire deal amid tensions in West Asia. In sports, wait continues for India's Vinesh Fogart as Court of Arbitration defers decision till August 13. And a marine flower arrangement made of natural flowers is the center of attraction at a mall in Colombia. Stay with us for this visual extravaganza.
The one common theme between all major cities across the world is hope and the promise of new opportunities and possibilities that gravitates people towards them.
The reason why we advocate green transformations is because you can retain the building and you can actually modify.
There's a lot that happens when you extract sand beyond sustainable limits. It's going to change your course of your river, it's going to widen the channel, it's going to damage, and we are paying a big price.
We have 2 water reservoirs on 84 acres of land. During periods when the river water is non-saline, we store water in these reservoirs. Throughout the year, we distribute this water to residents.
Tiny houses are in vogue.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live. Let's continue getting you more updates. U.S. Vice President and Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris is leading her Republican rival, former President Donald Trump, in 3 battleground states of Wisconsin, Pennsylvania and Michigan by 4 points, according to a latest poll. Earlier, an Ipsos poll showed Harris lead Trump nationally 42% to 37% in the race for the November 5th election. Her entry into the race has energized the Democrat camp. President Joe Biden ended his re-election bid on July 21st and endorsed Harris for polls after a disastrous debate performance against Trump in late June. U.S. Vice President and Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris pushed for a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal between Israel and Hamas as tensions in West Asia escalate.
This around the clock. We need to get the hostages out. We need a hostage deal and we need a ceasefire. And I can't stress that strongly enough. It needs to get done. The deal needs to get done, and it needs to get done now.
While USA, Egypt and Qatar are trying too hard for stitching a ceasefire agreement between Hamas and Israel to facilitate hostage release and saving Gazans from bombings, people in Israel have come on roads in support of such a deal. On Saturday, hundreds of Israelis took part in a demonstration in Tel Aviv, pressing the government for release of all the hostages who are in captivity of Hamas since October 7th last year. Supposedly, those in hostage are also in some hideouts in Gaza and are under threat of getting killed either in crossfire between Hamas and Israel or in sporadic bombing of Hamas-held areas. Passionate supporters of hostage deal and ceasefire agreement waved Israeli flags and shouted slogans. Some protesters wearing T-shirts read, "We won't forget, we won't tolerate, we want them home."
I'm not afraid about Iran. We have a very, very, very strong Tzahal military, and we have United States of America. They are caring about us. We know this.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky acknowledged for the first time on Saturday that Ukrainian forces were fighting in Russia's Kursk region. Russia on Saturday introduced a counter-terrorism operation regime in its three border regions of Kursk, Bryansk and Belgorod. And Belarus summoned the Ukrainian chargé d'affaires on Saturday and told Kyiv to act against airspace violations after Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko said a dozen Ukrainian drones had been destroyed in its airspace. DD India's Dasha Chernysheва gets us more from Moscow.
With fighting ongoing in Russia's Kursk region, more than 76,000 people have been evacuated from areas bordering Ukraine. Kursk local emergencies ministry released a video showing evacuees arriving to the city of Oryol, 140 kilometers north of Kursk. That comes after Russia's National Anti-Terrorism Committee accused Ukraine of making an unprecedented attempt to destabilize the situation in several Russian regions at once, and introduced a counter-terrorism operations regime in Kursk, Bryansk and Belgorod regions. The measures included possible displacements of the residents, limits on transport in specific areas, beefed up security around sensitive sites and wiretaps on telephone and other communications. Russia's defense ministry said in a statement on Saturday that Russian forces were continuing to repel a Ukrainian incursion. In the meantime, Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko said that his country has shot down at least a dozen Ukrainian drones. Speaking at a news conference in Minsk, Lukashenko said that Belarusian air defense forces were put into the combat readiness, and radars detected more drones that were heading towards the Russian city of Smolensk, but later changed the direction and flew to the city of Yaroslavl. Lukashenko said that Belarus was beefing up its military on the border with Ukraine. Dasha Chernysheва reporting in Moscow for DD India.
Racists are at the receiving end now in the United Kingdom. They are facing with stiff resistance by those who believe in mixed society of Britain. On Saturday, one such group came out in the open and demonstrated in UK's Northern Ireland's Belfast in support of migrants and against racist attack by right-wing groups in various parts of the country. They were holding placards reading "United Against Racism," raising anti-racist slogans, "Refugees are welcome here." They were beating drums and raising voice in favor of migrants in the midst of the city. Earlier, there had been racist demonstrations in Belfast to intimidate immigrants. It was a unique display of tolerant society in the UK's province known for lots of people's rights movement in the past.
It's been horrendous. I think all of us have been very shocked by it, but I think for us anyway, last night and tonight in particular are such brilliant examples of when communities come together and organise themselves.
Tunisia's Electoral Commission preliminarily accepted only 3 presidential candidates, including incumbent Kais Saied, amid widespread criticism. The Commission said that it had accepted the candidacies of Saied and Zohair Maghzawi, while rejecting 14 others for the October 6th election. Zamel is the head of the Azimunt party and has not previously been regarded as an influential politician. Tunisian opposition parties and human rights groups have accused the authorities of Election Commission of using arbitrary restrictions and intimidation in order to ensure the re-election of Saied. Indonesia's new capital prepares to host Independence Day celebrations. Indonesian officials visited the country's new capital, Nusantara, on Saturday to ensure the city was ready for its first cabinet meeting and upcoming 79th Independence Day. Indonesian president, who has been a driving force behind the capital's relocation, is determined to ensure that key infrastructure is in place before his term ends in October. As the Independence Day approaches, the government is working to finalize essential facilities. New Catalan leader Salvador Ela officially takes the presidency of wealthy region's government in Barcelona, becoming the first non-separatist to lead Catalonia in over a decade. Ela had previously been health minister of Spain. Ela's predecessor, Pere Aragonès, presented him with the Medal of Office, marking his official inauguration. Ela assured that his administration would focus on governing for all Catalans with a commitment to unity and service. Ela's investiture came just days after a dramatic rally in Barcelona where separatist leader Carles appeared, defying an arrest warrant after 7 years of self-imposed exile. All bodies have been recovered from the site of plane crash in the Brazilian state of Sao Paulo, which killed everyone on board. Teams were working to find and identify victims of the disaster after a twin-engine turboprop operated by airline Vopas came down in the town of Venedo. The number of casualties was revised upwards on Saturday to 62. Footage circulating on social media showed the plane descending vertically, spiraling as it fell. The aircraft crashed in a residential area. However, no one was injured on the ground. Brazilian authorities are working on retrieving and identifying the bodies of the 62 victims. Ramatuel Diego Dantes Silvino, a lieutenant with Sao Paulo Civil Defense Agency, advised relatives of the victims to gather as much documentation and dental registration as possible to facilitate the identification of their loved ones. Investigators are one step closer to determining the cause of the airplane crash. Authorities in Brazil have said that the plane's black box containing voice recordings is undergoing analysis at the Brazilian Aviation Accident Investigation Center. Landslide in Uganda's capital, Kampala, kills at least 12 people, with more still missing as rescue operations continued on Saturday evening. The incident happened after heavy rainfall when sections of the landfill collapsed, covering some nearby houses. Red Cross personnel were searching for bodies at the site and had rescued 14 people, with the government providing heavy equipment to help with the rescue operations. The landfill, known as Kitizi, has served as Kampala's sole garbage dump for decades now and had turned into a big hill. Residents have long complained of hazardous waste from the site polluting the environment and posing a danger to the people. Let's get to updates on Paris Olympics now. India's campaign at the 2024 Paris Olympics concluded on Saturday with 5 bronze and 1 silver medal from the 117-member contingent. India will return with 6 medals from Paris, won by Manu Bhaker, Sarabjot Singh, Neeraj Chopra, Aman Sehrawat, Swapnil Kusale and the men's hockey team. Neeraj Chopra joins the elite club of Sushil Kumar, PV Sindhu to bag medals at 2 consecutive Olympics. Also, Swapnil Kusale becomes the first Indian to win an Olympic medal in the men's 50 meters rifle 3 positions event. Manu Bhaker also created history by becoming the first Indian post-independence to secure 2 medals in a single Olympic edition. India's first individual Olympic gold medalist, Abhinav Bindra, was awarded the prestigious Olympic Order by the International Olympic Committee in Paris. The Olympic Order is the highest honor bestowed by the IOC, recognizing individuals who have made outstanding contribution to the Olympic movement. Bindra is a member of the International Olympic Committee Athletics Commission. He is the first Indian to receive this prestigious award. He won a gold medal in shooting at Beijing Olympics in 2008. The Court of Arbitration for Sports has extended time till August 13 for the sole arbitrator, Dr. Annabelle Bennett, in the Indian wrestler Vinesh Fogart versus United World Wrestling case. The hearing on the matter concluded on Friday after it accepted Vinesh's appeal against her ouster for being 100 grams overweight on the morning of her final against eventual gold winner Sarah Ann Hildebrand of USA. In her appeal, Fogart requested a joint silver as she was found overweight after she won the semi-final in Paris. At a Colombia Mall, a marine flower arrangement grabbed many eyeballs. As part of their flower fair, the Colombian shopping mall created the floral artwork using 180,000 natural flowers. In the 13th edition of its emblematic flower carpet, the mall created the masterpiece focusing on environmental awareness and marine life. The central figure is a seahorse 36.1 feet high, suspended 42.7 feet above the ground. The seahorse is surrounded by a carpet of 25,000 plants to model the marine ecosystem. The work has become a tourist attraction for those who visit the city on the occasion of the flower fair, which culminates on Sunday with a parade. With that, we end this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app, which is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us at In Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.